You're listening to the Daily Sales Tips Podcast, and I'm your host, Scott Ingram. Today's tip comes from Jason Bay of Blissful Prospecting. Actually, this is more like 7 tips for the price of 1. Give a listen.
One thing that we want to do as salespeople is really optimize and increase the amount of time that we spend in front of potential prospects selling. And things that tend to get in the way of that are, meetings, or we're spending too much time on the computer looking for certain things, or we might just be hunting down prospects and we don't have efficient systems for going after them. So there are a lot of things that get in the way of us spending more time in front of prospects. And I don't want to help you with all of those today, but what I do want to focus on is the time that you spend on your computer. I've sat next to a lot of salespeople in my career, and in my observations, I noticed that they tend to waste anywhere between 30 and 60 minutes every day because they're just too slow on the computer. So they can't find out where that file is located that they need for that slide deck. They have certain things that they could be copying and pasting, but they handwrite every single time. And there's certain tasks they do that are inefficient. They just do it the same way over and over and over again. So my goal with these 7 productivity hacks I'm going to share with you is to get back a little bit more of your time every day by helping you be a little faster on the computer. So make sure to check out the show notes. If it's an app that I recommend, it'll be linked to in the show notes. So tip number 1 is use an app called Paste. This is only going to apply if you're a Mac user, which I suspect is quite a bit of you that listen to this. But what I find with copying and pasting is there are certain phrases that I might respond to with a prospect that are very repeatable. It tends to be the same things over and over again. There are also certain, I have multiple scheduling links depending on what kind of meeting I'm scheduling. And what Paste allows me to do is I can actually bookmark all of this stuff within the app. And then with a simple keyboard shortcut, I can open up these bookmarks and quickly paste them. So I don't have to rewrite the same things over again or hunt down links or things that I like to copy and paste. Tip number 2 is to max out the speed on your mouse and trackpad. This is a tip that Noah Kagan shared over at SumoMe. And one of the things that's going to feel really weird when you do this is going to feel like things are out of control on your computer. So you might incrementally work it up. But once I've gotten to the point where I maximize the mouse and track speed, it's not so slow for me to once I see what I want to click on, the amount of time it takes for me to actually click on it is a very, very short amount of time. I'm not limited by the speed of the trackpad or the mouse. Number 3 is use keyboard shortcuts. So again, this is going to be linked in the show notes because it's going to depend on if you have a Mac or a PC. And if anything, I would recommend the shortcuts for Google Chrome because all of you are probably using Google Chrome, I would imagine. So with keyboard shortcuts, my goal is to spend as least amount of time as possible moving the mouse or trackpad to click on things. If I can do it on the keyboard, it's going to be much faster than me having to move the mouse and click it. So switching between tabs, opening up new tabs, closing them, switching between windows, just on your computer, using keyboard shortcuts is going to really, really increase the amount of speed that you have task switching. Number 4 is batch similar tasks together. One thing that I see a lot of reps doing is they only use their calendar to keep track of appointments and meetings. That's one way to use a calendar. You obviously want to use it that way, but the big benefit you're going to get from a calendar is also scheduling in advance and helping you prioritize things that are important versus urgent, or that might be both. So for example, there might be things that you're doing throughout the week, such as writing proposals. And the proposals might be something that, hey, I need to do these within 24 hours. But a lot of us, as soon as we get off a sales call, we immediately go into writing proposal. And let's say that's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, that's prime time to be hitting the phones. So make sure that you block off in advance. Maybe it's 2 or 3 days a week where you're sending out proposals. If it's call blocks and you know that, hey, the afternoons are the best time to get a hold of people, and I tend to make these calls, I need to follow up with prospects that just haven't heard back from or whatever it might be, block those times out in advance in your calendar so you don't skip them and so that you're utilizing the best times of the day to make those calls. Number 5 is a Google Chrome extension called Fresh Start. So if you're doing a particular task and let's say it requires you to have 3 to 5 different windows open at a time, well, you can say, hey, I have a list building task. It needs LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Lead IQ, and maybe some other stuff open, whatever you're using. You can just click on a bookmark that you create for that, and it'll open up all those windows at once for you, so you don't have to open them individually. Number 6 is Power Tools. Probably not going to apply if you're at a big company, but if you're at a smaller company, you might be using Google Sheets to sort a lot of your data and dedupe it. It's just a must. You got to check it out. It's going to save you a ton of time. And then number 7 is an app called Skitch. So a lot of times we're sending emails over to people and then asking them for feedback when it would be easier to just take a screenshot and then like point at what you want feedback on, or to annotate it and like write something on it. So definitely would check out Sketch. So those are the tips. Hopefully one of those helps you save some time, but we would love to hear back from you. So let us know what your favorite productivity hack is by leaving a comment.
As Jason mentioned, the show notes for this tip are pretty extensive and include a bunch of great links for you. To get those details, just click over to dailysales.tips/188. Then make sure you're subscribed to this podcast and come back tomorrow for another great sales tip from Andy Rasek.